Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. We broadcast 2 hours, Monday through Friday, from Missouri. John is engineering the broadcast at Genesis Communications Network in Minnesota. Today we have Steve Elkins. He's an ICU and an ER nurse. He's in Florida. He's a broadcaster. He's on Republic Broadcasting Network. Welcome, Steve Elkins.
Hello, Vincent. Good morning.
Good morning. And we've got Joe Samona. Joe Samona is in Michigan. He is a realtor. He's 29 years old. He has an in-depth experience in law. And as you could expect, he would be ranked in the top 10% of realtors. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the air with us. Welcome, Joe Samona.
Thanks for having me, Vincent.
Oh, you're welcome. So today, class, we're going to be talking about, why would we be talking about preparedness with a realtor? Why would we do that? Well, it's very clear. Imagine you want to buy a property, and imagine you want to know about something called HOA, Home Owners Association documents, agreements, things that you agree to when you buy a property. What do they mean? Well, you don't have to read that. It's just, fine print. Nobody has time to read that. Well, here's what can happen. And we're going to talk about what can happen as a result of the Home Owners Association in your neighborhood. Steve Elkins has experienced what they can do and what they try to do. Mm-hmm. Joe Samona is going through it right now, and I've been through it, and our daughter's been through it. And why does this happen? So, Joe Samona, what is going on in your neck of the woods, in your neighborhood, that brought you to the national stage?
So, Vincent, just to give everybody that's listening to the show a little bit of a background on my family. My parents escaped, or not didn't escape. My parents left Iraq in the mid-'70s to escape religious persecution and came to America. My parents became citizens as soon as they were able to. My parents have been law-abiding citizens. My parents vote at every single election, and they instilled those values on us. Back in 2005, having the strong faith that we have, back in 2005, like we usually do every year, we had a nativity. And it's beautiful. People drive by, people take pictures. It's not big, it's not obnoxious, just a basic nativity scene. And we received a letter from our association in the mail saying, you are in violation of this article and you didn't request prior approval. And it specifically said, please remove your nativity scene. As you might be able to assume, we were shocked. And we consulted with an attorney as well as one of the newspapers over here. And our story quickly made national headlines from CNN to Fox and every local news channel and radio station that you could think of. So when that happened, the association said we rescind the violation notice. Go to 2009. 2009, they were a little bit more cautious with their wording. They said you're in violation of this article, but didn't state what we were in violation of. So when I called into the association said that the Virgin Mary statue has to go. I said, that's not happening. Now we're in 2019, and we receive a letter saying that grass needs to be cut, weeds need to be trimmed, and there's 6 pieces of statuary lawn ornament. We know exactly what they're after. And what they're doing is they're hiding behind the Virgin Mary statue because they were so direct with it, especially the first time, that they don't want to be so direct with their wording and cause an even bigger uproar than what it is right now. So right now, the association has not responded to a single one of my calls, nor a single one of my emails. We have filed a request to inspect records to see who has applied for approval for statuary, art, or lawn ornaments, and who has received violation notices. We believe that this is completely arbitrary. We believe that this is a violation of the law. And we're just really upset. We want people to know that, listen, we're going to practice our religion, and we're not trying to impose our religion on anybody else. This is something that's been in front of our house for 16 years. There's people that I personally know in our subdivision that have statuary arts or lawn ornaments that have not gotten approval and have not gotten a violation notice. One thing important to point out is the community association manager has shared a Facebook post, I believe it was June 23rd, that said, children raised without religion are kinder and more empathetic. Look, I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you don't believe in a God. That doesn't, if you're a good person, you're a good person. But that goes to emphasize on the point that this is religiously motivated. So there's no such thing as the grass wasn't cut. There's no such thing as weeds in the lawn. We don't know what the 6 statuary lawn ornaments are. They're trying to hide behind the Virgin Mary statue. And that's what I want people to know. It's not 6 statuary lawn ornaments, 2-foot tall grass, and weeds all over. No, it's not that.
Joe Samona, how tall is the statue of the Virgin Mary? Because this is radio. Some people may think we're talking 10 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet. How tall? 2 feet? 18 inches?
Foot and a half.
18 inches.
Foot and a half.
Okay. My mom has the very same statue. She's moved it 3 times at 3 of her properties. It's made out of cast concrete from a mold, and it's been in her garden for three decades. 3 different gardens, 3 decades. And she was raised as a devout Roman Catholic. She did not go on missionary trips into town trying to convert people. It's just what she believed. She quietly believed it. And she had this statue in her garden, where it is today, right outside our studio here on the farm in Missouri. It's not going anywhere. It's going to stay exactly where she left it. My mom has passed away. It's not going anywhere, no matter what. So what's the reason for this, Joe? What's the real reason?
The real reason for the statue or behind the association, Vincent?
No, the real reason that the association is giving you a hard time about the statue. Would it be okay if it was the Star of David? Would it be okay if it were some other religion? Would it be okay if it were a cross? Or would none of the above be okay?
I don't know. Obviously, we respect and we encourage all religions. We have neighbors that are of multitudes of different religions that we respect, that we have great relationships with. So would it be okay? I don't know, but it seems like there's an attack on Christianity. I believe it was at the Rockefeller Center where there is a menorah, there's a Kwanzaa table, and there's a snowflake tree. I would encourage someone to please educate me on what a snowflake tree is. How do you have a menorah, a Kwanzaa table, and a snowflake tree? A menorah is a menorah. It's not a candle. A Kwanzaa table is a Kwanzaa table. It's not a picnic table, okay? And they're calling those the right names. They are what they are. what in the world is a snowflake tree? So I think there is an attack on Christianity, and I think now, in these days, there's an attack on religion in general, on any type of God, on any God that you believe in.
Yeah. Vincent, I got a question for Joe.
Steve?
Yeah, Joe,
Sure.
on the governing body for your HOA, is it a democracy or a group of people get together and only one person has to say, I don't like it, it's a violation, and the rest of them don't really have a say-so? Is this governing body of your HOA a democracy when they meet, or is it just one person says it's got to go, and that's the way it goes?
You know, it's very interesting that you asked that. So the management company was formerly, the management company is Kramer Triad. It was Kramer Triad at the beginning. Then it switched to a company called Harriman and Associates. So what happens is, it's actually interesting that you asked that, because one of the former members of the board of directors, I saw him. He lives in the subdivision. And I asked him, I said, what's going on? He said that he got an email from Kramer Triad saying that they were going to look around the neighborhood and write, violation notices if there's violations. So I don't know if they acted under the direction of any member of the board of directors. And if you hold what I just said for a second, ironically, I've never gotten a response from Kramer Triad, but my father has gotten a response from Kramer Triad that only said, we have received your request. We act under the direction of the board of directors. So that is completely contrary to what one of the former members of the board of directors told me, saying that the management company was going to go around and see what violations there are. So they did not act under the direction of the board of directors. They acted under their sole discretion, in my personal opinion.
Can I do a follow-up here, Vincent?
Absolutely.
Joe, have they imposed any fines on you for having the Virgin Mary statue? Have they imposed any fines?
They have not imposed any fines as of yet.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how would they figure out what a fine would be for something like this that goes against their regulation? How do they figure that out? Have you ever received a fine and known anybody who's ever got a fine?
Don't know of anyone who's ever gotten a fine. We have not gotten a fine, and we don't even know we can't even find the fine schedule. So the letter states, courtesy notice, $25 fine, $50 fine, $100 fine, but there's no fine schedule on file that we can see.
Okay. Well, I can tell you from my experience with an HOA out here in Florida, I find that there's a set guideline, a contract, evidently people do sign when they move into an HOA. These are the guidelines, these are the covenants, the conditions, the restrictions. You sign it, you agree to it. But I find that every year that at least the HOA I was in was going a little rogue, deciding that these people would meet and decide once a month, well, let's add this, add this. To me, that actually nullifies the contract you actually signed, because you had no say-so in that whatsoever, or to agree or disagree. And that's where I see the HOAs are making a huge mistake, is that they're adding on things year after year after year.
Hold that thought. Steve, hold that thought. Steve Elkins is with us. Joe Samona is with us, and we're talking about homeowners associations. Joe, from what I understand, if the rules have been changed in a homeowners association, the homeowners have, it's not valid unless the homeowners agree to the changes and vote on the changes. Is that your understanding as well?
My understanding, Vincent, is that there has to be a 66, two-thirds vote to change any of the declarations or easements. However, if I may, Vince, from what we've reviewed, it looks like this may have been in place since 2000, but we were not aware of that because I don't believe that they actually make you sign them. They're recorded with the Register of Deeds, which we didn't know. However, what we're dealing with here is what they're doing is, like I mentioned, is arbitrarily enforcing the rules. But even if they were to bring a lawsuit forward to remove the statue, they would be unsuccessful on the grounds that any statute of limitation has far passed. Statute of limitation on a breach of contract is 6 years, and on a covenant case is 10 years. The statute has been up there for 16 years. So they would be unsuccessful on those grounds alone. Plus, declarations and easements can say whatever they want to say, but they could also be illegal. A lot of things that are written into contracts are not legal. So those can be illegal. So that's what we're discussing with an attorney that we are looking at probably retaining, is a violation of the Michigan Elliott Larson Act, as well as the violation of the Fair Housing Act.
Joe, when I lived on the East Coast, Mrs. Finelli and I bought a home that was in an established neighborhood. And the neighborhood was built in 1945. And the property came with deed restrictions based on that, the covenants, the agreements, the terms and conditions from 1945. And in this list, which came with the purchase of the house, was that you could not have chickens, goats, and horses in this neighborhood. And all black servants, yes, all black servants must be out of the neighborhood by 4:30 in the afternoon, which is absolutely illegal. So there you have it. You were talking about not everything that's written is legal. And there's a perfect example, and we had it. And in our case, we wanted to convert, our house was the model house that was built in 1945, right at the end of World War II. And we wanted to convert our two-car garage. It was a two-story traditional colonial. It was brick on a third of an acre. And we wanted to convert our garage that was under the house, two-car garage, to a family room, because back in 1945, you had traditional galley kitchens, you had a traditional dining room, traditional living room, but you really didn't have a functional house like you have today with a great big room that's off the kitchen where everybody hangs out. So we wanted to do that, and we had this neighborhood association, this homeowners association, and they were the ruling body that could determine what we could do and couldn't do. So in order to still have a garage, I wanted to build a freestanding garage, 2 cars, use the existing garage doors that came with the house from 1945. No change in the architecture, the style, the color, nothing was changed other than adding a 2-car garage. Well, the neighbor across the road was the president of the HOA, and he didn't like the idea that I wanted to have attic storage. And they said, you know what? It's too tall. You can't have a 2-car garage with storage. We want the roof 2 feet lower. And I said, no, I want storage there. And they said, no, you got to make it 2 feet lower. And so finally I said, you know what? You're right. Thanks so much for sharing this with me and convincing me that I should not have a garage because I'm going to save a lot of money. And I found a circus tent. And it's red and white and yellow stripes. And I'm going to put that up because I don't need your permission to do that. It's temporary. So I'm just going to park my cars under the circus tent. Within a very short time, I got a phone call, go ahead and build your garage. Because they were faced with a choice. Finelli was either going to put a circus tent up there and devalue everybody's property, or they were going to let me do what I should be able to do in the first place. So that's how I approached it. And let's talk about what things that you can do when we come back. Steve Elkins is with us. Joe Samona is with us. Joe, who is the board? Are these guys your neighbors?
The board of directors are comprised of people who live in the subdivision, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Have you ever met them?
I know former members of the board of directors. I know where the president of the board of directors is. I don't know the other members of the board of directors because the management company has not taken the liberty to update that on licensing and regulatory affairs Michigan website as they should.
Here's what I did. The state of Missouri came after me for unpaid sales tax. They made this up. And, you know, when I say this, people will think, no, it can't be true. Finelli had sales. Well, they said I had $1 million worth of sales, and I didn't pay the sales tax on it. It was total fabrication, 100% fabrication. So I went after the state of Missouri, and I exposed them right here on USA Prepares. As a matter of fact, I read all the correspondence from them and all their threats and their position where they're going to put a lien on my farm. They wanted to steal my farm. And so I figured this was a pretty serious thing, and I went right after them. I went for the juggler. And I gave out their names, their telephone numbers, who they were, what they're doing. I read their letters, their threats on the air, and they backed down. They sent me an apology. Most so sorry. And here's what I found out. So they had all kinds of demands on me. They wanted to know, they wanted to see 2 years worth of emails. And I said, show me the statute. Show me the statute that says you're entitled to this. Then they said they wanted that I owe this sales tax. I said, show me the customers that you say that I sold these things to. Show me. And then to make it even better, they said that I had to respond within 30 days. So I took a page out of their book and I said, all communications shall be in writing. And if I don't receive your correspondence within 14 days, that the matter will be resolved in my favor. So I escalated the turnaround time from 30 days to 14 days. And they couldn't take it. They backed down. So what I'm telling you, Joe, is I've had experience with people threatening me. And when that happens, it always gets worse for them because I go for the juggler because I feel that they want to take what I've earned and I won't let them do it no matter what. So if you want, you can do that. You can take a page out of my book and you can say everything shall be in writing. All communication shall be in writing. Now, if you do that, every time you send them something, they have to have a meeting. All of the directors actually have to have a meeting and you can wear them out.
Yes.
And that's what I did. I wore them out and they figured, well, maybe they're easier fish to fry than Finelli. Yeah. So that was one of my strategies and it absolutely worked. And then they did it again. So
let me add something real quick here, Ian. Vinny, I was looking at the history going back to HOAs, going back to the 1960s when it first came about. But I found a case that was a very unique, interesting case going back to the year 1994 called the, fire this back up, Narstedt versus Lakeside Village Condominium Association. And it found that basically the benefits that a homeowner association, HOA, provides to homeowners varies depending on the specific regulations and practices of that HOA. Individuals may also benefit more or less depending on the political standing in the association and the degree to which the community's decision matches their preference. In this 1994 case, Narstedt versus Lakeside Village Condominium Association, the Supreme Court noted owners' associations can be a powerful force for good or for ill in their members' lives. Therefore, anyone who buys a unit in a common interest development with knowledge of its owner's association discretionary power accepts the risk of the power may be used in a way that benefits the commonality but harms the individual. And I like that last part, but harms the individual. That's exactly what we should be focusing on here because actually, let's be honest about this. There is no harm. There is no harm to anybody about having a Virgin Mary statue in your garden. It brings no harm to anyone. This definitely looks like a religious persecution, and I fully support you, Joe, in standing up for your right to have this in your garden because I bet you can walk around your neighborhood and people will have little gnomes in their yard and all kinds of little decorative things in their yard, and you could say, well, that offends me, but, it's not harming me. But it really is not harming anyone, so I'd say stand your ground on this. And you're going to win this one. You're going to win.
Well, how about those people who have Easter the Bunny in their front yard, or turkeys for Thanksgiving,
right?
Inflatable turkeys, and they show lights on them, or they have lights around their gutters, around the eaves of their homes. What about that? Is that okay? I mean, as far as I can tell, Joe, the statue of the Virgin Mary is not powered by electricity, is it?
No, it's not. But let's even use something that's even more common that almost everyone does. Halloween decorations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I can't fathom that they would send a letter out, the association, the management company, the board of directors, for Halloween decorations, and they haven't, to the best of my knowledge. They haven't. I know that.
Joe, let's put the board on notice right now. If you choose, Joe, we will announce all the names of the board of directors members. We will announce on the air where they live, their addresses. We will describe their homes and their front doors. We'll describe what kind of vehicles they drive, and we'll give out their phone numbers. Okay? So if they continue to give you a hard time, we will do that. If you choose to, if you want us to, we'll be glad to do that. And we'll do it over and over and over again, because I take exception to what they're doing to you. This is a matter of principle. You have nothing financially to gain from this. All you want to do is be left alone. That's all you want. But they've got to stick their noses into your business. You are not offending anyone.
Right. And no harm has been caused to anyone also. That's the main thing. Bringing no harm to anyone. That's key in your favor right there, because you're not harming anybody. And
Steve,
you can actually point out the hypocrisy, like you just said, the Halloween decorations. You've got them on this one here because, and Vincent's right, make it very difficult for them. They have to respond by mail. Actually, even better than that, make it certified mail. It has to be certified, coming to you to make sure that it's been acknowledged, and there's actually a tracking record on that. Make it certified. This is going to cost them a little bit, but then you do everything through certified, and then it's all professional. And you're right. Vincent's right. They have to meet to decide of how to take care of action on something like this. So you're going to have these people coming together. At some point in time, they're going to be so uncomfortable with putting out a way that we have to meet all the time because this guy is really working us, that they're just going to say, well, let it go. But you also be sending a clear message also in your neighborhood, and we need to get this out because they've targeted you. And they will target other people, too, that they don't like, whether on religious aspects or something else. They're going to target somebody else. These HOAs have gone a little rogue from where they first started out. They may have had some good intentions, but people who go into these HOAs have actually granted these people a little bit more power than they ever should have had, and they've gone a little rogue. So I think it's time to set their record straight. You're not causing any harm to anybody. Your statue should stay, and it will stay. I guarantee you're going to win this case.
Steve?
Yes.
Steve, I made the offer that we will expose the HOA on USA Prepares loud, clear, and wide, and often. Does the same offer exist from your broadcast on Republic Broadcasting?
Yes, it does, 100%. Matter of fact, I'll talk about it this coming Sunday. I will talk about this case. And, Joe, you're welcome on my show anytime. Let me know. I will definitely hit this. I have a say-so in this, too, because I battle these people, and I fought them. And I finally said, well, enough is enough. I was just a renter in an HOA looking for a place to build or buy, and I finally said, this is it. We're done with this place. This is ridiculous. You're actually paying people to control you, and they've gone a little rogue. They've gone a little off case here. And they're adding things all the time, new cases, new things, additions all the time to the HOA rules, which I did not agree to. I don't care if 66% of these people agreed to it. I did not agree to it. It is a contract. A contract, to me, is null and void. Once you start adding a bunch of other things on that I did not agree to, we don't have a contract anymore.
Sure.
Go ahead, Joe.
I just wanted to tell everyone that's listening what exactly I had the association served with. I had this association served with with what's called a request to inspect books and records. For any and all requests to the association for approval from any and all lot owners or members pursuant to Article 5, Section 21 of the Declaration of Easements, Covenants, and Restrictions, as well as any and all violation notices to any and all lot owners or members pursuant to Article 5, Section 21 of Declaration of Easements, Covenants, and Restrictions. And I will be damned if let me just tell you what's in my subdivision. I will be damned if the 80 flower pots, 4 American flags, 3 fountains, 1 angel statue, 1 lighthouse, 1 welcome statuary, 8 animal statuaries, 1 bench, 1 windmill, 3 door wreaths, 6 tree pots, and 1 flower basket got a letter. I will be utterly shocked if any of those got a letter. So I had that served on them. Technically, the statute in the law in Michigan states that they have 5 days from the date that they receive this. So rather than mail this and give them extra time to sit on it and say, oh, we didn't get it until this day or this date, I had it personally served on them on Tuesday morning. Good. So they have to respond by Monday. They have 5 business days to respond. And I need that information, and they have to allow us to inspect those records. And if they don't, we will file legal action in our circuit court to inspect those records, and the statute reads that we could get our attorney fees back. And that's what we'll do.
There's something else.
You put the ball back in your court there, Joe. You've taken control and power away from them, and that's going to be harming to them. So yeah, you did the right things. Perfect plan.
Joe, is your HOA a corporation?
They're nonprofit though. HOAs are typically, to my understanding, nonprofits. Right.
Okay, but they are governed by statutes within the federal and state applicable to corporations. So I'm wondering if you ought to just take the approach that they have violated their charter, their original incorporation charter, and they should be disbanded as a result of violating their charter.
We are looking at taking the offensive approach at this matter.
Agree with your position of taking the offense. And when the state came after me, what I did was I kept asking them for more and more and more information. I wanted to know exactly in writing who was on their team, what they were going to do with the information, what their rank was individually, who is the team, what is their rank, what are their names, how much is their compensation, what is their titles, what's their phone numbers, their home phone numbers, and what are their addresses. So the more they asked me for, the more I asked them for. And then they realized that this is getting terrible. There was a Chinese general and a military strategist by the name of Sun Tzu, spelled S-U-N, next word Tzu, T-Z-U. And he was born in 545 BC. And he wrote a book called The Art of War. And he says that you keep your opponents off guard and you surprise them all the time. Well, that's not the strategy that I use. What I do is I go and talk or meet with the opposing team. And I say, I think I understand what you guys want, but it's not going to happen. But here's what is going to happen. Here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make you all famous because I know that that's what you're looking forward to. And I tell them I'm going to make sure that their names and numbers and addresses and family members and everything about them goes far and wide because I feel like I'm being threatened. I feel like I'm being attacked. And I want to make sure everybody knows who all the players are. That's my approach. So, Joe, the offer stands. If you want to do it, Steve's up for it. I'm up for it. But I like the approach that you're taking, the offensive approach. Steve?
Yes, I agree, 100%. Make sure, like I said, everything's done, correspondence is done with certified mail. Make it very difficult with them. because don't make it easy, and at some point in time they're going to abandon this control issue. This is a control issue, and like I said, you are the first in a long line of people that will be harassed by these HOAs and need to draw the line in the sand. You've done that already. You've taken the right actions to get back control and put an end to this rogue practice of HOAs just adding on as they want to, year after year, adding more and more to the list of restrictions that you did not agree to. That's the thing, is they broke the contract, as far as I'm concerned. You just can't keep adding more on and more on and more on. It never happens in business, and it should not happen in an HOA. So continue on with what you're doing.
And there's another approach, and that is you can run for the board. And when there's a board, or when there's a corporation that does something that I don't like, I run for the board. And they hate it. They absolutely hate it because they know the board will be in turmoil if I get elected. So you can run for the board as well. Have you considered that, Joe?
I have considered that. I don't know if it's something that I want to do. I don't know if it's something that I want to do because I don't know if some of these declarations and easements are things that I feel comfortable enforcing. I feel that they are things that maybe I have the power to influence to get changed, but I don't feel like I can enforce a lot of these issues. And
well, you don't have to. You don't have to. What you can do is you can motion for deletion of some of the restrictions. You can, and you can make it public that you have your position is to remove these restrictions. Okay. Yeah. And for example, if there's any compensation for the board, you can say, I move that we remove all compensation. There will be no compensation. All in favor? And see if that works. So then what you do is you remove all the incentives for these other people to be on the board. And the only reason you want to be on the board would be to do the right thing. You're not there for profit. They probably are.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. Typically speaking, we don't like to take the offensive end. We don't like to take a defensive end either. However, what I want to be known to the current management company, which is Kramer Triad, that's Kramer dash Triad or space Triad, TRIAD, is that we are not going to simply accept a rescission letter saying we rescind the violation notice. We will only accept a letter saying that this statute is not in violation of the articles, declarations, easements, whatever it is. So we're not just going to simply let them back down. Good move.
Well, Joe Samona, let me spell your last name for our class. It's Joseph, Samona. And Joseph, if someone is interested in contacting you, shall they do that, or you want to wait till the next time you're on the air with us?
If they're interested in contacting me, they can contact me at Joseph, Joseph, Samona, Samona, @hotmail.com. There's no spaces, no dashes, no underscores. Just my first and last name at hotmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook and send me a message.
Joe, thank you so much for being with us. I look forward to updates in the future. Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Steve Elkins is with us. Steve, I've been writing a book, and the way I've been writing this book is as I do things, I keep this spiral-bound book with me. Or if I don't have it with me, I race over to where it is and I jot down something that I think other people ought to know about the way I do it. So I have been giving some hints about this book, and I have not published it yet. But it's still in rough draft form. But I want to share one of the items in the book as a preparedness tip, because I've been asked to share preparedness things the way I do them with our class. Many people have asked me to, and so that's what I've decided to do. Well, there are a number of vehicles that use air suspension. And here are some of the names of those vehicles, the brand names. Maybach, M-A-Y-B-A-C-H. That'd be like a Mercedes. Rolls-Royce, Lexus, Jeep, Ram, which used to be called Dodge in the truck line, Cadillac, which is General Motors, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Land Rover, Audi, Subaru, Volkswagen, Lincoln, Ford, Tesla, and others. So there's a whole bunch of cars that have what's called air suspension. And here's how it works. So instead of having a coil spring or a leaf spring in each corner of the vehicle supporting the wheel and tire, they have airbags that are inflated with a compressor. So you have a 12-volt compressor located somewhere in the vehicle. You have small air lines, which are made out of typically nylon, that can sustain the internal pressures. And the compressor inflates these bags so that the car rides at the height the engineers designed it to ride. But what's happening is the road salt is corroding some of the connections, and the airbags themselves are failing. The connections are failing, and the valving is failing, and the compressors are failing. Compressors remanufactured can be $300. If you wanted to replace the airbags on all four corners of a vehicle like a Mercedes, it'd be between $3,200 and $3,400. If you only had the rear, like in a Mercedes station wagon with airbags, that's only $1,600 to $1,700, which to me is a lot of money. Well, the reason I'm mentioning all this is you don't have to do it. These airbags fail, the compressors fail, the lines fail, the balancing valves fail. It's a mess. And you do not have to replace them. You can remove them, and you can, in place, put something way better. And what the replacement is a coil spring made for that vehicle. So I have replaced with our son the hydraulic suspension, which was even worse than air suspension, on a V12 Mercedes. And it was a mess because the driver of this vehicle would be driving down the road and a hydraulic hose would fail. And then the car would just flop down to the ground, kind of like a lowrider, but lower than a lowrider, because a lowrider can at least travel down the road. This thing would just sit on its wheels and tires. You couldn't move it. So you'd have to tow it on a flatbed. Well, it would happen over and over and over again, and Mercedes can't fix it. So we replaced the hydraulic suspension with coil suspension. And it can be done for maybe 1/8 the cost. Well, in the case of a Mercedes station wagon, 2004 model, it's $1,600 to $1,700 to replace these airbags. But there's a company called Arnott, A-R-N-O-T-T. They make coil spring replacements for that vehicle. The total cost, if you do the job yourself from the factory, $270. I paid even less than that. I paid less than that because I have a contract with a large automotive distributor. I paid closer to $240. $240 delivered. So I can do this. You can do this too if you can get the car up in the air and get under it. So what I'm saying is you do not have to put up with having a vehicle that you're driving along. All of a sudden you have a failure and now you are toast. You're not going anywhere. If you have an airbag failure on either the right rear or the left rear, or the right front or the left front of an airbag suspension car, you're not going anywhere. I'm not kidding. And you are in for the 5 o'clock surprise of your life because you're looking at $3,400 or $1,700 minimum. So I just wanted to share that with you. ARNOTT. I called the factory. I ordered the parts. They're here, and I'm going to be installing them on the vehicle. Now, I'll tell you how difficult it is after I'm done, but I'm going to be doing hay for the next few days. One other thing I want to share with you, moringa trees. I stopped off to Norm Shealy's clinic and dropped off some seeds. He's all excited about his seeds. I've sprouted our seeds here. The trees arrived. I do not suggest you buy trees or saplings because they are really wilted, and I don't know if they're going to survive. 1 out of 3 might survive. Maybe. So get the seeds, and you can get them on eBay, and they'll sprout in just a couple days, and you can put them in gardening soil, and there you go. You can raise them indoors, outdoors. I'll keep you posted with the progress that we're making with moringa, Moringa trees. Steve, any comments?
Yeah, I was going to give you some advice on the plants you think it may not make it. I've learned that if you really hydrate them and also make up an Epsom salt solution because it's high in magnesium, nothing with the fragrance, but try to give it some nutrition back to because it's been shocked, and try to see if you can go the magnesium route with some hydration with magnesium to see if you can get these plants to come back. I would try that.
Okay. And since you've mentioned magnesium, Steve, you're a nurse. What are your thoughts on an Epsom salt bath or a whirlpool bath in Epsom salts or just a traditional soak? What are your thoughts?
It's not bad. It's not a bad idea. Beneficial-wise, let's see here. I've used it for a lot of things. Between gardening, I've done that. It's also good for kind of if you have a digestive problem here, kind of to break everything kind of loose. That actually works also too. But I've never actually had an Epsom salt bath complete per se. Just maybe soak the feet after a long day if they hurt. It always helps. But other than that, I can't say an actual bath like a whirlpool type bath. I haven't done that.
Okay,
I don't see it be a problem. I don't see it be a problem at all.
Okay, I've done that, and you can buy. I think they're 8-pound bags at Sam's Club, or you can buy them other places as well. Epsom salts, and I remember my grandmother used to soak in it. I mean, this is an old time remedy. There's nothing new about this. And I would put Epsom salts in a hot whirlpool. I found a whirlpool tub that someone didn't use and didn't want, came out of a model home, and they couldn't wait to get rid of it. And I thought, great, I'll just build another bathroom here at the house. And so I did with our son. And so I'll hop in that whirlpool, really warm with Epsom salts, and I feel better. And Dr. Norm Shealy is an absolute proponent of magnesium. He believes that.
A lot of people don't understand that when you get sore muscles, that's actually caused by a buildup of lactic acid in the muscles. It's very irritating to the muscles. So you can actually relieve that lactic acid, break it loose, and get it out of your body through sweating. And I would think that the nice whirlpool bath with the Epsom salts might help also to release that lactic acid through the muscles through sweating. But I would, that's what I would use it for probably. If I sore muscles, a buildup of lactic acid, a whirlpool bath with Epsom salts, that would probably be a nice thing, a good thing.
Okay, Steve, down in Florida, God's waiting room, as John Statmiller refers to it, there was a story on Reason.com. A Florida sheriff's deputy was arrested for planting drugs on innocent people.
Yeah.
And it was uncovered with body cam footage, but the officer was lying about roadside field tests for drugs. So this former sheriff's deputy was arrested for planting drugs falsely and arresting at least 10 people, including a case where body cam footage was shown him lying about the results of roadside field tests. Can you imagine that? So this guy, this former Jackson County Sheriff's deputy, his name is Zach Wester, Wester, has been arrested and charged with 52 felony crimes, including racketeering, false imprisonment, fabricating evidence, and drug possession. So it says that this guy Wester kept unmarked bags of marijuana and methamphetamines in the trunk of his patrol car, manipulated his body camera footage, planted drugs in people's cars, and falsified arrest reports to railroad innocent people under the color of law. His victims, many of whom had prior records, were working to stay sober, and their lives were upended. One man lost custody of his daughter. So here we have a guy in uniform, one of these guys that we're supposed to trust, who is actually planting evidence, lying, cheating, stealing, violating his oath of office.
Yeah. You know, I saw that when I first saw that yesterday or the day before when I actually sent that over to RBN. I saw a guy trying to inflate his or add on to his resume of busts and arrests. He was, my guess, that's what he was doing. He was probably one of these officers. Geez, he is such a successful officer. He always seems to nail these people. Look at all these arrests he's made for drugs, this and this. He was actually setting it all up that way to puff up his reputation, his ego, and yeah, he got caught. And it's really sad because some of those cases they talked about, a guy lost his daughter because of falsely convicted of something he didn't do. And he was on probation, and they took away his daughter, his visitation rights to his daughter. And a lot of people trying to get their lives back in order, and here this guy comes to set you back up. I don't know. I hope they come down really hard on him. We'll see. We'll have to watch this one closely.
Okay. And, class, I used to have a LinkedIn account or membership. I dumped it yesterday. And that's just, the long list of these tracking systems that I don't want to be any part of. And, I get these emails. So-and-so wants you to be what's it called? Alignable. I think that's what it's called. Why? Why do I want to do that? So I'm not interested in that. That's the next one to go. But I got to tell you, it's really tough to find out how to get rid of or cancel or shut down these memberships. Just like if you have a Skype membership that you're paying to make phone calls, like $2.99 a month plus tax, and you want to just stop that, good luck in trying to find out how to do it. It's hidden. It's really hard to find. But that's next. So Skype is next, and Alignable, if that's what it's called, that's next. And if I find any others, they're going to follow. We'll be right back. Steve Elkins is with us. Steve, for years, many years, 5 years, I would host these meetups in Springfield, Missouri. And I would take a time out of my day, take an hour to get there, an hour to get home, so that's 2 hours. And then I'd spend 3 or 4 hours there in the evening, so that's 5 or 6 hours. And then I'd spend a couple hours preparing. So typically 8 hours a week I would spend. And I never charged for the meetup. Some people thought I should charge a meetup fee, and I would never do it. And the people who came to the meetup, I gave free passes to the expo, the Get Prepared Expo, and I gave it to the family and so forth. And as a wonderful thank you, I get to receive emails from one of the meetup members. I just got one, and his name is Garland Fitzhugh, Fitzhugh. And the subject of the email is, normally I don't check emails, but Garland Fitzhugh is kind enough to remind me he's thinking of me and of the broadcast often. And today's email is 3 words. The title of the email, the subject is record, R-E-C-O-R-D. And, before opening the email, you could think, well, maybe he bought a record, a 33 RPM or a 78, or it's a world record, or some kind of a record in an achievement. Well, I opened up the email, and it was really nice because here's what he said. Listened almost minute, meaning he was able to devote almost 1 minute to the broadcast, and he was kind enough to tell me that he was able to do that. We have trolls everywhere. And I don't understand what it is with people. Who is this guy? Well, he's been to meetups for years. I believe he even came to my house. So you invite these people to your house, you welcome them in, and then they have the sincere desire to bash you at every opportunity. And you sent me a link to a video about these trolls and a broadcaster. And you know what? after a while, it gets old. And we don't want to have anything to do with people like this.
No.
Really. I mean, can you imagine? Literally, listened almost minute. That's the whole thing. I think he meant he listened almost 1 minute. Why would somebody send something like that? Why would they listen? What's wrong with them? Why don't they get a life? Why don't they do something
Vincent,
productive?
Do you know how much time it takes to hate, and how much energy it takes to hate, and how much destruction it does to your own person to hate? You harbor the hate. It feeds. It grows. A lot of time, a lot of energy being wasted by this troll, who wants to spend so much time of his day to hate somebody and try to bring them down. Which, as I've always said, if somebody goes to that extreme, that only means that you're over the target. You've identified something that they don't want to be known. You've exposed their agenda. And now, therefore, they're going to spend a lot of time hating you and trying to bring you down. It just means you're over the target, Vincent.
Yeah. And let's see. Let me see if I can read some more of his. I don't know if they... people today have the ability to type on their keyboard, and I believe they think they know what they're saying, but they don't realize that the person who's receiving the email has no idea what this cryptic message means.
It's interesting, Vincent, that this troll didn't identify what was wrong. I mean, we had a program. You had a program for 1 hour talking about HOAs, a lesson to be learned about HOAs so people don't make that mistake. Very educational, very informative. So what's his gripe?
Well, here's another email from him, and the subject is oil, O-I-L. Email says, where did you get your info about oil, comma, oh, hey, 3 minutes, see ya, have a great day. So that time he was able to devote 3 whole minutes. I have no need to interact with these people. None. And this is what you get as a thank you for helping people. Steve Elkins is with us. So I'm going to read a few of these real short emails from one of our former meetup group. Here's one that says, torques me. Torques, torques me. Says, your subjects torque me in a way that maybe 17 seconds, and I bow out of listening. Wow, Vince, can't you come up with more interesting stuff? That's from Garland Fitzhugh. Well, I have never heard a broadcaster talk about airbag suspension. Never. And I talked about what the problems are, how much it costs, how it can leave you stranded, and how you can solve the problem. Nobody that I've ever heard has ever mentioned anything like that. And we do this all the time. Here's another one. Let's see. He calls this one IQ. And here's the whole email. And Shealy, and he means Dr. Norman Shealy, but I guess he doesn't have the respect for him to call him Dr. Shealy. And he says, quote, and Shealy is smarter than everyone else. What the heck does that mean? And Shealy is smarter than everyone else. The guy can't even complete a sentence.
No.
Tire. Here's one called Tire. Calm down. Just a tire. Because I was talking about how tires are shredding, how tires are becoming 1-ply instead of 2-ply and 4-ply in the sidewalls, and how they're becoming more failure prone, and how if you rub up against a curb or you hit a nail, they puncture the tires, they fail quickly. And if you have an all-wheel drive vehicle, when let's say you have the tire tread is worn halfway on all 4 tires, they have to be the same diameter. the same make, the same model, the same amount of wear. And if you get a damaged tire and you ruin one, the tire manufacturers change the model numbers every couple of years. So if you say, well, I'll just get one the same make and same model, you can't because it's been discontinued. So instead of buying just one tire, you have to buy 4. So he says, calm down, just a tire. Another one says 10 SEC. I guess that means 10 seconds. And it says here, I listened for 10 sec till I heard the word tractor. The bottom line, Steve and class, is I really don't care what he says. It's a broadcast that I'm volunteering for. I'm not being paid. I don't have a producer. I do it all myself, all of it. And I really don't care what he says. And maybe this will be offensive to some people. Well, if people don't like what we talk about, just like 10,000 other channels, go find one of them.
Yeah.
Go watch the Kardashians bend over.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that this guy takes so much time to even tune into you. If he does, it means it's a pattern of I don't like you, I don't like what you talk about. So why are you tuning in every day? Why are you wasting your time? Go find something else you might like. Yeah, right. The Kardashians or Big Bang Theory, or go watch reruns of Gilligan's Island. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a very bright guy anyway, because he can never complete the thought. He never can point out where you're wrong. And what you should focus on, he just seems to give these little quips, these little smart-ass quips, and expose himself to be the idiot that he really is. He's not a very, very smart guy.
Do you get these kind of emails?
I used to. Every once in a while I do, and what I get hounded with is a lot of biblical scripture, and it's all capital letters screaming at me. And you're talking to the wrong person here. I am not an expert on the Bible. I hardly ever even talk about religion. Only thing I say about religion is practice what you preach, and the emphasis should be with everybody thinking the same thing. Do well, help your mankind. That's pretty much it. But I get people telling me end of times and screaming at me in biblical scripture, and that the writing is on the wall, and I should know this stuff, and I don't. I just don't. I don't study the Bible. I don't study the Bible. I just be a good person and help others as much as I can.
Yeah, but there comes a point in time, and our classes probably said, what happened to Vinny? He used to help everybody. Now he doesn't want to help anybody. Mm-hmm. Well, it's because of guys like the one who was writing me these emails. Mm-hmm. How many of those do you have to get before you say, you know what, I don't think I want to help too many more people? And as Joey says it, and so very well, it's very simple what he says. Joey's a brilliant, brilliant guy. He says, Vinny, I can't afford any more friends. Yeah. That's what he's talking about. Yeah. People who are... Yeah.
Acquaintances versus real friends. Real friends will step in and help you in a time of need, just as you do for them. And I find that, there's a big difference, and I have friends and I have acquaintances, and those acquaintances, at some point in time, I usually cut them loose to say, you're using me, and nobody wants to be used. It's a two-way street here, and if you can't help me when I need some help, then I really don't need you as a friend then. I just don't need you even as an acquaintance friend,
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you like to talk about for the rest of the broadcast? You had a couple things on your mind.
Well, actually, since you just opened that can of worms right there, I'm going to tell you a little story here that just happened the other day. My wife works in nursing also, too. She's in case management. And went outside and said, outside her job on her own time, and had taken an interest in somebody who seemed to be down on their luck and needing some help, had no family. And being the good person that she is, wanting to help other people, had decided to help relocate her and move her and find her another place to move to, and was all set to do it here coming up soon. And then now new additions have been added to the agenda there, which were never agreed upon. And now you get to that situation where you say, you know what, I was going to do this for you, and on my own time, my own dime, expenses, everything, I'll do it. I'll help you out, get you a good start. And now there's new conditions. I wouldn't like this, and I would like this, and I would like this. And I looked at her last night when she told me this, and we shook our heads, and I said, you know, you just got suckered, so you're going to draw the line right now. You're going to say, no, this is a one-way deal. There is no going back and forth. There's none of this, none of this. And that's it. That's it. And where you're being a good person and your graciousness is now being taken advantage of. And there are so many people out there, Vincent, that really know how to scam a system and how to tweak the heartstrings of a person. They find a good person, they latch on to them, and they say just the right things. Use a little bit of psychology, say the right things to get that person to go a little further and a little further and get a little bit more out of them, kind of in a parasite way. And I think last night we had that long talk, and she was very upset to say, I meant to do a good thing, and look how this, I said, you know what, I've learned this too, and Vincent and I talked about this, that you just kind of want to take care of your immediate family, and because you get screwed over so often that you say, why am I going that extra mile? Why am I doing this? I really don't play Jesus very well, and when I have done it, I don't even think I'm 50-50 on playing Jesus and helping people, to get to a point where you say, why am I doing it anymore? Just take care of your immediate family and stop trying to save the world, because sometimes when you try to save the world like that, you really don't do these people any favors, because they continue to make the mistakes over and over again. With a hard lesson comes a lesson not to make the same mistakes twice, and maybe you're cheating them out of that life experience of learning a lesson by saving them all the time. So I feel the same way as you do. I don't need any more friends. I told John Stadmiller last night, I got 4 friends. You, John, my college buddy, and another college buddy. That's it. I really don't need any more friends, because every time I get a friend, it turns out they want this, they want that, they want this. And it's like my garage, my tool shed is theirs. They don't need to buy tools. They just come over and take my stuff. And that's not right. That's not right.
All right. So we have people who want to use our stuff, and I cut them real short. I don't lend our tractor. I don't lend our cars. I don't lend our trucks, because nobody around here takes care of their stuff as well as I do. Nobody does. Right. So they leave their wrenches outside. They leave their tools outside. They leave their circular saws, their extension cords, their gas cans, whatever it is. My gas cans look the same color red, not sun bleached, as when I bought them, because I don't leave them outside. Other people do. Makes no sense to me. They look worn out. They look shabby, sun bleached, and they volatilize the fuel in it. Makes no sense to me. I park our vehicles outside the sun to protect the tires and the finish on the paint from being damaged by UV A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Steve, I want to share this with you.
Okay.
So I know this young gal, and she's been to the house a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say she's, maybe in her early to mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
A college graduate, and looking for a job. So I counseled her, because I used to teach school. I used to teach high school. I used to teach college, and I used to teach elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I used to teach people in the master's program, master's in business administration students. And so I would share my expertise. And I've been to the high school career days, where I would have a gymnasium full of people who would be interested in what my thoughts are in the computer field. So I talked to them, and so I was talking with this young girl on many, many, many occasions, one-on-one. And what I noticed was, I would say, okay, so you're interested in getting a job. Here's some of my thoughts. How about if you want to be a teacher, what you do is you just show up during the school day you dress for success. You show up at the school and you ask to talk with the principal, and you say, hi, my name is Ann Smith, and I'm here to volunteer. Not that I want to apply to volunteer. I am here to volunteer. Here is my experience profile, And here's some things I thought would be really good for this grade, whatever that grade is. Here's like a little lesson plan. Okay. Did this person do it? No. So I'm thinking, all right, how much time did I spend, explaining all that 3 times, 4 times? All right. How come when I talk with this young millennial that if it's a one-on-one conversation and I'm in one part of the kitchen, for example, and there are other people in another part of the kitchen, and something shiny goes by, her attention immediately flits to, and she drops me like a hot potato, as if I'm not even there. So I have decided that I am wasting my time. I'm trying to lead somebody to success who is not able to pay attention when something shiny flies across the room. But, I was taught that when someone's talking to you, you give them your undivided attention. And when you and I and John Statmiller were in the kitchen here at the farmhouse, isn't that what we did? Whoever was talking was the focus. That's the way it is. We'll be right back. So, Steve, I was looking at my emails. Normally I don't do that. And I got this email, and here's what it says. Subject, Vincent. 4 people visited USA Prepares profile, ! From Alignable. What the heck is this? So normally I don't care, but I was curious. So I clicked on it, and what does it say? Well, it comes up with alignable.com/biz/profile, and it says, who visited your profile? Kind of like a question. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blurred out images. I don't know if they're pedophiles. I don't know what they are. And then in the center of the page, it says, upgrade to unlock. So if I'm willing to unlock this and upgrade, I can see who these parasites might be. Yeah. I don't care who they are. There's nothing that I want to do with Alignable. Nothing. I have shut down our webpage. I've shut down my email addresses at USAPrepares. Why? Because of people like the one that we were talking about send me these emails. And now I'm going to block him. So there's no need for him to send me anything. I don't want this trash. I really don't. And when people give me a hard time, it just makes me do whatever I was doing more. It just does.
Vincent, this troll is named Lionel?
No, his name is Garland Fitzhugh. There are plenty of trolls. He's just one.
Okay. Cheers.
And I know this guy. I know him. He would go to the meetups. He shows up at these preparedness-minded, events. I see him, but I don't go to them anymore. I've been invited to preparedness-minded, we'll call them house events, we'll call them house parties. I don't go to them either. I just don't want to be involved with, I don't need any more friends. I went to Joey's School of Hard Knocks. I don't need any more friends.
Yeah, I just wonder why this guy's still wasting time checking you out every day. Why waste his time?
Oh, there are other trolls on Ron Gibson's channel on YouTube, and Ron Gibson posts this every day, and some of these trolls feel they absolutely have to beat us up. They'll say nothing new here, nothing new. I mean, they just write these phrases as if they can fend off people from learning what we talk about.
Exactly, yeah. And trying to discourage people from listening, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about who we are and what we do. You are a broadcaster on Republic Broadcasting. How much? Let me ask you a personal question.
Sure.
How much money do you make doing that?
0. Not a penny. My own time, my own equipment. I invested a little bit in my studio here, which I'm not quite done yet, but when I get back from my trip, soundproofing, all the equipment I buy on my own dime. I get paid nothing other than satisfaction of talking about issues and hopefully opening some minds so people can actually talk about the issues. That is my goal. Always been my goal.
Yeah, mine as well. And my equipment, I built it. I bought used computers, converted them to to be studio computers, communications computers. I built the UPS, the uninterruptible power system, to keep it all running. Should there be power events? I mean, all of it. Built it from used stuff on the cheap, and it works.
Yeah, I love it.
But I paid for it. I decided that instead of giving away commercials, we'll get rid of the commercials. So I got rid of all of our commercials. And I'm only doing it because I want to, not because I have to. I make the same amount that you do. Zero.
Yeah.
Actually, less than zero. It actually cost me money to do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have people who are willing to take shots at us. What's wrong with them? If they don't like it, change the dial.
Right, turn the channel. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are plenty of programs I used to watch on TV that I didn't like, and if I happen to accidentally turn to that particular program, I go, oh, nope, and I go right past it. I didn't send them letters. I didn't send them correspondence. I didn't beat them up. I just figured I'm not interested. But we've changed. We've gotten to the point where, no, that's not good enough. We need to take shots. We have a generation of people that are just trying to erase everything, erase our history, erase culture, erase everything about us, and reformulate it and make it the way they want it. And instead of, they always use the word tolerance. Have tolerance. Well, why don't they have tolerance? If you don't like it, turn the channel. Show some tolerance towards what we do, and find something that makes you happy. Have some tolerance. Yeah, I'd like Garland Fitzhugh to be a happy man. I really would. I'd like him to find something that he really loves to do and do that and live a long, happy life without being so unhappy. And I wish that on everybody. I wish everybody would be happy. And they can be if they want to be. But if they harbor all these grudges and anger, they won't live very long.
That's true.
They won't. Steve Elkins, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.